Okay, so it's time now to hear from another one of our event sponsors. Very excited to have Fastly here today. I think it's the first time that they've been involved with a CARTO event, so we're really excited to have them on board. So Fastly are involved in the world of edge computing, which is really important for us here at CARTO. We use the Fastly service ourselves, and a lot of our customers do. So I'm really happy to be able to have the general manager for EMEA here, Gonzalo de la Vega. Please welcome him to the stage.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm Gonzalo, and I'm here today to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, which is edge computing. The things you can do, the things it enables, how it came about to being, a little bit of how it works. But before I start, I'd like to, as is customer in these type of events, thank the people at CARTO for putting together such an amazing show. I'm very impressed by the level of attendees, by the level of people we've seen here today, just by the magnitude of the event itself. It is my first CARTO Locations, but it will not be my last. If you invite me the next time, this is fascinating. Having this type of event happening in Madrid is very exciting, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm having my handset with me because I do have my speaker notes on it. In any case, another thing I'd like to thank CARTO for, maybe more than putting the event and having us and inviting us and having me on stage, is for being one of the pioneers customers of Fastly. I mean, you guys have been working with us and building amazing stuff on our platform, basically from our very early days. You guys predate me at Fastly, and I've been around for at least 4 years. So, I mean, you are a testimony of really what our reason for being, which is providing an edge computing platform where people can do computing at the edge, which is what we're going to talk about today. But building stuff on it and creating solutions that go beyond anything that we would ever have imagined while we were building this platform. So let's go. First things first, what is edge computing? What does this mean? I'm sure most of you know or have an idea or come across this term. Maybe some of you know more about this than I do or have different definitions. But to take two views of what people think that edge computing is, we take an industry analyst from Gartner. They believe that edge computing is anything that happens, computing, data processing, making things happen near the origin, near the origin of content generation. So on the other side of the origin infrastructure, where the users are, where the devices are, where the sensors are, where data is generated. If you ask our CTO, Tyler McMullen, what is edge and what is the edge, he'd be including much more into that definition. For him, is everything that lies between origin infrastructure, co-location, your data centers, and your end users or the devices to which you're delivering your mobile apps or services or applications. We're talking about edge computing. What is the edge? What do we mean when we say the edge? Well, the edge really is the border, is the last point of control of where you can process or manage your application or your logic before it's delivered to end users, before it's either displayed through a touchscreen or an interface, or before it's delivered through a CDN or network or telco. Literally is when you send stuff out and wait for it to come back and then process it again. This is the edge, is where things happen. Now, there's a picture of a rock star in this slide. I could not help the pun. I apologize. This is a rock star, but there is another rock star emerging, and that rock star is edge computing. Right. I had another slide here. I'll talk to it. I had a slide that is showing, it may pop up later in the presentation, completely screwing up my workflow, but that's fine. I had a slide that showed the number of, it's here, the number of papers published that talk about edge computing and how those have grown exponentially in the last 2 years. We've gone from, I can't see the slide, but I think it's from 381 2 years ago to like over 3,500 papers published by academics on edge computing. And the next slide that's not here, but I promise you it's on my handset, is how Google queries and how the search term for edge cloud is affecting Google searches. And trust me on this, it's just spiking ridiculously in the last couple of years as well. It is a trending topic. It's something that's interesting. People want to know more about it. The reason being that as technologies evolve and as companies like Fastly and other companies provide the capability of computing and data processing at the edge, the concept of the internet changes. The concept of what you can do and how you can interact with applications and with users really changes. It changes from having something at my origin, programming my databases and my logic, and then sending it and receiving it, to being able to extend, a bit like when I was defining the way our CTO saw the edge cloud, extend all the way between the end user and have logic process much close to when the end user is. Screw the nodes, let's just improvise. So let me try to explain this with the diagram, which is actually this lovely little picture that we have here. You are, and again, I'm pretty sure you're very familiar with most of these terms, but I'm trying to make a point here, so bear with me. So you are living, you have your application logic either in your own infrastructure or in co-location in data centers. You may be using some of these wonderful cloud providers. We have a very strong partnership with Google. We work with Amazon. We work with Microsoft Azure. I personally am an ex-Microsoft employee, so I have a sweet spot for them. They have their booth here at the CARTO event located just opposite from ours, and they're doing amazing stuff on the cloud. Now, the purpose of an edge cloud or edge computing, which is these little red clouds with our little Fastly logo. I work in an amazing company. I really love it. It's like sort of the typical presentations you see. I love my company, but I really, really do. And what we do at the edge is be able to push all this layer of processing, load balancing, caching, security, app delivery to the edge. Make those decisions happen instead of, I wish I could point, but I'm not tall enough, instead of near the center, pushing them all the way to the edge so that all of this transactions and processing is happening at this part of the value chain rather than have to go all the way to origin, being processed, and then having to go all the way back to where it's to its destination. So Edge Cloud enables things like location-based search, very relevant to where we are today. So it's content relevant to where I am, receiving a different website, whether I'm on one seat or another city. Our VP of Marketing, Kelly, whom is not here today but has helped me put together this presentation, likes to say that somebody standing 10 foot away from you, if you're both sort of using the same service, will get a different experience. Because all these GPS and data positioning identifiers go up to 5, 6 decimal points. They're very precise. So things like second-hand purchasing or using any kind of location-based service. Also personalized services basing on who I am. So once I log into a service, I get data and information that is relevant for me. I get an experience that is relevant for me, as well as additional layers of security, of caching, all of this processing that normally, traditional layers of edge, which is things like CDNs or operators, would be accelerating things from one place to the other. Edge Cloud really is intercepting them, processing them, and delivering them at the edge. So avoiding all of that traffic going back to origin, which is it gives a better service, it gives a faster service, and it gives a less expensive service in terms of total cost of ownership. So another industry analyst says that all enterprise-generated data is going to explode in terms of what will be processed at the edge versus what is processed at origin. I am not going to stand here today and talk to a crowd that is probably smarter than I am about the evolution of the internet, I promise. I do want to use 2 or 3 concepts from this slide, again, to make a point. If we look at what the internet was like when I was in college, yes, I'm that old, it was static websites, so it was one website published by a server and lots of people at home connecting, or at university, many people sharing one device. It's the one computer that is connected through a dial-up modem, very noisy, and everybody receiving the same website. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter when you are, it doesn't matter who you are, everybody is getting the same static website when they log in. We've gone from that to richer media, and I won't extend myself, but all the way to this side of the spectrum, which is where we is today, where I not only have more than one device that I use to connect to the internet. I'm currently wearing 2 or 3. When I carry my backpack, I'm wearing my wearables or my Fitbit or my connected car or my devices at home and my Google Home or my Alexa, whatever. And so I don't only have several devices around me, so we've gone from one device for several people, for several devices for one person. I have different profiles and different things I expect to see, different experiences I want when I log in through each of these devices, as do the machines that connect themselves. So on the other side, so in terms of the server side, we need to deliver personalized experiences for the work me, for the social me, for the personal me, for the different devices I have at home, depending on the size of the screen, depending on a lot of things. So The point here is, as technology, the evolution of technology is driving consumer expectation. And consumers are expecting to have tailor-made experiences relevant to where and who and how they are and what device they're using at all times. And these expectations are very high and present lots of challenges to providers such as all of us, really, to make all of that happen. There is zero tolerance for a bad experience on the internet. I had an example, but yesterday I was looking through the slides. I thought I'd give a real example of something I've done recently. Bear with me. I've recently changed my airline fidelity status. I'm not going to name the airline, but I've changed from one very large group to the other one. And the main reason behind that, believe it or not, was the shitty experience I was getting every time that I wanted to either use some people in the room probably already know what I'm talking about, trying to use the website or the application of a given airline. Now, this means I have to use different airports. I have to get new I travel all the time, probably many people in this room do as well. And changing your frequent airport, changing your card and having a different login, gaining the status that you had on the previous airline program to this new airline program. And I went through all of that because I could not bear the ridiculously shitty experience I was getting when logging on to and using and interacting with whether it was the web-based or the app-based interface of my previous airline provider. There is zero tolerance for failure. We had our altitude event, which is kind of like this, but the one we put together, where we'd love to have the people from CARTO, by the way, in a reciprocal invitation. We had this in New York early this week, and Pinterest told us, I don't have my notes, but I think I can say this from my head, 48% of mobile app users will not come back to a shitty, they didn't say shitty, I said it, to a bad experience when interacting with an app. On PC-based users, that goes to 30%. They will just not come back if they had a... To be honest, I was surprised. I thought the figures would be higher. I'm very, very intolerant to failure. I don't have time when I'm using services or apps to really give them the time to improve, especially when there's competition that can do that for them already. So in order, you can see where this is going. Again, lots of connections, lots of different profiles, lots of things having to be done. There's lots of processing needed to be done at the edge to enable all of these things from happening. At Fastly, we provide this platform to make everything available. It's not really about the products that we put together. It's about the platform that we make available so that people like CARTO or some of our other users can build on top of that and the solutions they can make. These are some examples. I won't read the slide. You can imagine where I'm going with this. I mean, all of these companies somehow are doing some kind of processing at the edge. Whether it's to present a playlist or a menu relevant to a particular user, whether it's to provide conditional access based on where someone is or what device they're using. Can they access this content? Can they not? When the request comes in, it doesn't go all the way back to origin and then get processed and then get delivered back. It gets intercepted in our edge, in the case of the Fastly edge, which is the network map. I'm kind of hoping it's the next slide up, because it's what I had. If it isn't, I'll talk more about it. It would be our nearest server. That would be our edge, which is their edge. And all these companies provide location-based shopping, location-based news. They provide customized menus depending on who the users are, customized content, a tailor-made experience. So where is this all going? What is the future of the edge cloud? Now for this, if we take the edge, back to where we started, the edge is really what's standing in between data generation, so users doing stuff, or machines or sensors sending information, and the origin that's processing and things that's happening on it. It's a point that connects both sides. It is also the first point of contact of that data when it comes in. It is where things happen. It is where all the magic takes place. Previously, this used to be a black box or a CDN where you would put something in, wait for it to go, not really know what's going to happen and wait for it to come back. You would be dependent on what features are made available, what releases are made available, and what the platform provides every time it does an iteration. We have a very different view of this. The magic of Fastly, if I have to say two things about it, is that it's very, very fast. That's why it's called Fastly. And that it's very highly configurable. Anyone can write their own code, publish their own code on this edge layer, literally at the very last point, and make things happen there, make computing happen there. So when you ask, what's the future of the edge cloud? I don't know what it is. you tell me, people that work, that build on Fastly are really the people that have the frustrations, that understand the needs of their users, that know what they need. We make a set of tools available to be able to process and to do computing at the edge. But where it's going is really only up to the people that build on it, which is really where all the magic happens. Thank you very much.